Wrestlebuddy Podcast. All about wrestling. Subscribe and follow for more content.
Hey guys and girls, this is the Red Cupid 61 coming at you live here from my beautiful abode kitchen here. We got a special show for you today, a special interview. It's someone I have been following on Twitter, and it's a great day for me to be able to interview this person. We bring you Kaia McKenna. And with me here is my friend Maddie. Maddie.
What's up, Wrestle Buddies? It's Maddie here. You guys can catch me over at Twitter at Matthew_laws_. And I am excited to interview today, Kaia. Wow. Dyslexia.
I am so happy to be here. Thank you guys for reaching out to me. I've been looking forward to this. It'll be a good interview.
I've been looking forward to this since I found out this morning.
Well,
I didn't know I had this interview until this morning after I turned on my phone and, hi, would you like to do an interview with this person this afternoon? Let me check here. Oh, cool. I follow her on Instagram. That rocks, man. Yeah, I'm doing that.
Sounds good to me.
There's one picture I seen on your Instagram that kind of caught my eye, and that was the one with the car with the NDK on it. I thought that rocked, man.
Oh, yeah, that's a GCW backyard. We do have an MDK car. We have many surprises and wonderful things. Oh, it's always something new and exciting and different whenever you're at GCW. But I believe we had a couple of spots where people went through the windshield of the car. So
nice. Well, I shouldn't say nice. It probably hurt, but
I mean, it wasn't me, so.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You were the smart one, right?
No, I was like, I'm just gonna slide in here and take a cool picture for the gram. It's all good.
There you go. It was great though. That was the one that really caught my eye. That when I seen it that day, and I said, "Oh," and I read what you wrote underneath, and I thought, let's say, where can people reach you and your merch and all this stuff?
I am on Twitter and Instagram at Kaia MCK, so KAIA and then I have a pardon me, I have a big cartel set up, kaiamckennapro.bigcartel.com, and the link is in both those profiles. And I've got all kinds of cool little shirts and stickers and stuff. I have new shirts that'll be here in a week and a half, so stay tuned. They're really cool. They've got little hugs.
Oh, I want one.
Ooh, I want I got one. Stickers. I got the stickers early, but the shirts are still being produced, and they are tie-dye, so they'll be really fun. So please go check those out. Once a week. Yeah, once a week. Depending on my schedule, I do host a Twitter Spaces called The Witching Hour, where we talk about the astrological forecast for the week, maybe how it's affecting wrestling or things that are happening in wrestling. And then we usually just, whoever's hanging out afterwards, just talk about wrestling. So if you see that going on, please jump in. You can speak if you want. As long as you're decent, I'll give you access. It's a good time. That's all I've got going on. And I will be wrestling at WWR Plus. Say you'll be there on American Rana weekend. So please, if you are in Worcester, Massachusetts, come out and support me as I come back to the ring off of a shoulder injury. So it'll be really fun.
I would, but I don't think they'd let me cross the border. No, no, I'm not saying that in a bad way either. I mean, I don't have a passport, so I'd love to be there. I'm starving for live wrestling action up here. We have our own indie thing up here, but that's kind of once a month. This is why I look forward to WWE events and stuff. What's the chances of seeing you up here?
Is up here Canada?
Yes. On the East Coast.
I thought so. I
live by the ocean.
For Impact when they were on the East Coast before I went to wrestling school. So I actually
You were in Ottawa.
Windsor. I've done Windsor. So maybe I'll get back up to Canada at some point in time. I would love to come back. It was really fun. I really I enjoyed it.
I would love to see you wrestle. That's all I'm saying. Well,
Canada's not super far from Washington, D.C. So
yeah, true. But I live by the ocean on the East Coast, so that might be a trip.
Oh, okay. So are you more up by up Nova Scotia area?
I'm in New Brunswick actually, but yes,
New Brunswick.
In the right area.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
You're in the right area.
Cool. Well, I'll have to see if I can make my way up there. I would love to go see that part of Canada. I've never been there before, so.
Oh, we're well known. I'm not saying that's not for partying. Well, it is, but you know, we are known like for Magnetic Hill and the Hopewell Rocks and stuff like that. Nice touristy destinations, you know.
Oh yeah, I'm sure on the coast it's beautiful there.
It is. It can be, but it did. See, I live downtown in Moncton, right? So it's like, you know, the rent is sky high where we live too. So there's a location.
Oh yeah, don't talk to me about Washington D.C. and rent. It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Longmont ain't pretty neither.
You know, but when you're living in a downtown area, your rent is going to be astronomical. So, but I like where I live, and that's cool.
That's all that matters, as long as you're happy.
Well, yeah, that's just it, right? So it's not.
I mean, that's the thing too, is like people, there's no reason to stay anywhere you're unhappy, because really at the end of the day, you can just kind of put all your stuff on your back like a hermit crab and go live wherever you want.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, I guess like if you have like familial reasons or job reasons, you have to stay in a specific area. But if you don't have anything like making you stay somewhere, like go somewhere new and meet some new people and do something different. It's very good to do that.
Oh, I hope. But that made, when you were saying that made me realize what I went through as a budding musician, shall we say, right?
Yeah.
And at one point, I actually had a rep. I could walk into any bar around here, and they would get me up to say play, let's say Leonard Skinner, Freebird, or Motorhead, or Deep Purple, or the older Pink Floyd, right? Because I was the old man at the time. Well, I'm still the old man, but another story. How easy was it for you, or how hard was it for you to transition from martial arts into the sport of sports entertainment?
It actually wasn't super difficult for me. I mean, I had my challenges when I was going to wrestling school. I was definitely in my little wrestling class, like the ugly duckling. Like I was really, really bad at first. I was just really resilient. So it's like, I just wouldn't die, right? So it took me, I wasn't a fast learner. I didn't pick it up right away. I think the one thing that it did prepare me for, though, is knowing that anything worth doing that's good takes time. And it's maybe not necessarily going to be fun at first, and you might suffer a little bit, but anything that's like worth having and any success that's worth getting is not necessarily always going to come easy. So for me, it was a little bit difficult at first. I did all right with like the conditioning aspect of it, but I was a little like clumsy and clunky in the ring. I'm not somebody who's very like, I don't have like gymnastics prowess or like any kind of like movement prowess per se. Like all of my athletic prowess was in grappling. So I was really good at technical and mechanical stuff, but anything that required massive amounts of movement or being like light on my feet did not come to me as easily. And it's different for every person. Like some people like are phenomenal at wrestling, lifts very easily because they're very strong, or like some people just can't, are not very physically strong, like can't do a lot of lifts, but can do moonsaults like day one. So it just, everyone's different. It's so interesting to me because what we all struggle with just varies across the board.
Wow.
How was it to have Seth Rollins there to actually, you know, was he there to help guide you, show you how to be more light on your feet, as he's very agile himself?
Yeah, he is. He's super agile. It's very impressive. But yeah, so here's the cool thing is when you do go to Black and Brave to train, like he's there. He's there when he's not on the road. He's there. He's training with us. He's helping us. He's working out. Like he's part of, it's like a family, right? Like he's actually actively there teaching the classes and helping us alongside Merrick. And I just think that's incredible because there are so many people who don't get that opportunity, or they go to a school and the coach is only there one day a week or whatever their circumstance may be. So to have him there, like guiding us along every step of the way is really, really special, especially because both he and Merrick have so much experience in wrestling. They've been doing it for quite a long time. Rollins is extremely successful, hands down, probably one of the best wrestlers of our current generation. So to be able to learn from somebody like that is super great. It's like such a lovely little privilege to have. And he's so patient and he answers all of our questions. And if you're not getting something, like he can watch you do it and like instantly know like what you need to do differently. And just to have that wealth of knowledge at your disposal is just so incredible. Like they're both phenomenal coaches. It's an experience like no other.
Wow.
You can tell, like, I feel like there are people that like teach because they can. And then there are people that like teach because they really enjoy it. And I feel like both of them really enjoy teaching and mentoring new wrestlers, and you can tell. Sure.
Okay, well, you answered the question I had in mind already about Merrick. So, you're in my mind.
Oh, yeah, he's awesome. He's great. Now, I will tell you, as great as they are, they're tough. They have a very high standard, a very high expectation. They want all of us to meet it and exceed that expectation. So if you're not like keeping up with stuff and you're slacking or you're not getting it, like they're gonna bust your chops. Like they'll get you there, but like they expect you to put everything you have within your body and soul into being a successful wrestler. So, but I wouldn't have it any other way, because wrestling is a very tough business and it's not necessarily for everyone. And I would much rather have coaches that push me and are sometimes hard on me because they want me to succeed, versus coaches that skirt me through or are gentle with me, or the worst is like, oh, well, you're a girl, so you don't have to. You know, it's like, there's none of that there. It's like the expectation for me was the same as it was for everybody else. And I love that. I love that it's just such a genuine experience too, you know, and that's how you know they care, because if they didn't care, they wouldn't do that to you.
Okay, that leads me into this question, I guess. Do you feel that you have accomplished all that Seth and Merrick have hoped for you at this point?
No way. No way. I'm just scratching the surface. Like, honestly, the fact that I've had such a successful first year in wrestling, I think is really cool and awesome. And I would hope that they're proud of me, but you know, but I still feel like I have a lot of work to do, because there's a lot more I want to do in wrestling and a lot more places I want to go, and people and places I want to wrestle, and titles I want to hold, and tournaments I want to win. So there's so much more to have accomplished. There's no way to say that I have even begun to scratch the surface of what I am capable of in professional wrestling.
Right. Can I get your thoughts on the Empower NWA thing coming up with Mickie James and Gail Kim behind that?
Yeah, you know, I have to say, I think that's really incredible when it's put on by women, which is really, really, really awesome. I mean, I think it's great in general that people in wrestling, regardless of gender, are giving more attention to women and having women's shows, and there are more spots for women on cards. But the fact that all of these women are coming together, like Mickie James, like Kim is a legend, right? That these women are coming together to do an all women's show and lift up the next generation of female performers is just awesome. Like, I love that there's just like, there's women producing it, there's women running it, there's probably, I would hope that there's going to be women on commentary, like women doing the ring announcing, like female referees and female officials. Like, that's so cool to me that they're truly just embracing it being this empowering show across the board, not just like, oh, we have women's matches, or like, oh, we're dudes putting on a women's show, or oh, like we're going to have women, but like all the officials are male, or whatever, you know, discrepancies may be here or there. And I'm grateful for all opportunities that women are getting in wrestling these days, but I really just totally love the fact that it is a female operation from top to bottom. It is the epitome of girl power.
Right on. Can I get your thoughts on, speaking of that, may I get your thoughts on who you think should do more of female wrestling? Is there any company you would like to see that could do more from the perspective of female wrestling?
I think all companies could do more in the perspective of female wrestling. We're certainly making more progress than we had previously, but right. And it's not even like at the top level. It's like indies as well. Like there are a lot of indies out there that still book predominantly like male cards, where it's men having singles matches. And that's not only exclusionary to women, but that's exclusionary to like POC talent. That's exclusionary to LGBTQ talent. And I feel like everybody in wrestling is special, like, and talented and strong, and deserves to have a platform to perform on. I think that it's like, but all progress is small. And one of the examples of this I think that's really interesting is when GCW ran Alley Cat's Real Hot Girl Shit at Fight Forever in January. And that was the first time in the history of that company they have run an all-female card. And it was really well received. And they repeated it at the Collective this year. They ran another one, and that was really, really well received. And now you're starting to see them incorporate more women's matches onto their cards that are not starting WWR Plus, which is just a platform for female performers. And we have veterans and we have new girls and we have some girls that have been around, and we have all these different characters and different backgrounds and styles, like all coming together to make this incredibly strong, powerful female product. And I'm just so appreciative that both of those companies are starting to step it up and create more opportunities for women and embrace us as being a very talented and substantial part of the wrestling community.
Right. Because when I was a child, when I was growing up, I remember seeing people like Haystacks Calhoun and the Acadian Giant, who later went on to be Kurgan in the WWE and stuff like that. Bulldog Bob Brown was another one I grew up seeing. But see, the only female wrestling we got back in the day was when the women came in, it wasn't a match. It was more like a circus attraction, shall we say. They didn't
I like to use the term like a gimmick match, right? So like a tag team match is a gimmick match, or a hardcore match is a gimmick match. Like women used to be just another gimmick match, but now women are legitimate, like just like any other match on the card, right? Like we're not that gimmick match or that like refill your beer break or whatever you want to classify it as. Like we are top-notch contenders to having just as much time on a card as men, and if not even wrestling men. Like there are tons of women that excel at intergender wrestling. So I love that it just keeps growing and progressing.
We really have seen
I'm pretty tall. I'm 5'9" and 165, so I have no problem wrestling, guys.
We have seen a lot of progression in the women's wrestling. Like right now, the talk of the town, we've got Britt Baker, we've got Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks. We've got a bunch of names right now at the top of the wrestling world that are empowering women right now as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's really, really awesome to just see in general, is just seeing women on that same level, on that same tier, if not higher, if not more important, if not putting like really like at WrestleMania 35, did anybody else on the card put more asses in seats than Becky Lynch? I doubt that.
No.
She was the star of that show. There was no guy that was drawn like Becky Lynch that night. And that's just badass. And I just want more moments like that for women in wrestling.
Can I get your thoughts on maybe at some point, like maybe possibly starting your own female company, like female wrestling, just all female card all the time kind of thing, and maybe bring in a male in for like the circus trick, shall we say? You know what I mean?
You know, WWR Plus does that. Like the cards are dominantly women, but we do have men and all sorts of other matches come in and just kind of do like one match, right? So it's like the flip-flop of what's been established.
The popcorn
as
match. The popcorn match.
Yeah, no, but it's nice because it still allows everybody to show unity, and it's just, I think that's a really cool concept, that it's like they're just kind of flipping the script a little bit. Like, oh, and then we have this one men's match. Cool, go for it. Like, that's great. Or we have like an intergender tag match or a mixed tag match. I know that they've run some awesome matches with Kings of the District and the Outfielders. So I think that that's really cool too.
Do you feel like you would have to, like, I don't know how many companies you have worked in, but like, obviously the vibe is different in each company, right?
Yeah, everybody's got like different vibes.
How hard is it for you to fit in all the time like that? Like it must take some, you know. Well,
in general, some humans are warmer than others.
Right.
Some people are more introverted or extroverted than other people. And you always have a mixed bag of these people at any wrestling show you go to. You're always going to have people that are easy to talk to. You're going to have people that just like prefer to be by themselves. And you're just going to have people that don't warm up to you until you've been there like 4 or 5 times. Like, and that's just how people are, like even outside of wrestling, right? You start a new job anywhere, you're going to find this mix of personalities. But I just really try. I mean, I'm kind of like in my own life, like I'm kind of quieter. I like to sew and read books and listen to vinyl records, and like I work out like solo. Like I'm not a big extroverted crazy person in my personal life, but when I go to wrestling, I always try to make an effort to like be nice to people and talk and hear them out and hear their stories and maybe make them feel comfortable, because there might be somebody there who's not, you know, super extroverted. Maybe me talking to them helps them feel more comfortable. So I just try to like go, okay, like let's just talk to people and see what's going on today and just be really happy and have good energy, because that rubs off on people, you know. It takes like somebody with one person like with a crappy attitude can like ruin the vibe. So if you can just bring some positive energy 100%. Into a space, it definitely like helps. I don't really have problems getting along with people. Like it is what it is. Like sometimes you meet somebody that's a little crappy and you just don't let it ruin your day. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess that would be like if I had advice on this topic, I would just be like, just be you, go in, like talk to people, like read the room. Like not everybody wants you to talk to them, but like read the room and just kind of relax and don't stress out over it as much. And if someone doesn't like you, it's honestly not the end of the world, because not everybody's gonna like you. It's just, it is how it is. Like you can't get stressed over the 3 people that don't like you. Just like when you're wrestling, you can't get stressed over the 3 fans that think you suck. It's like, okay, whatever. But there's 30 people that thought it was cool. So you know what?
There you
I'm
go.
going with them.
That's what matters.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna go where I wanted.
Yeah, you can't kill yourself over stuff like that. And really, like, honestly, just not even only in wrestling, right? But the things that people like get themselves upset or worked up over in life in general are usually so small and insignificant in the big picture that if you can just pull yourself back and take a breath and just release that, like acknowledge that negative feeling, but then release it, like you'll do so much better in existing in general.
Well, 9 times out of 10 is because they're jealous anyway.
You know, I never understood that. I always tried to focus on the things I do have and be very grateful for the success I've had a year into this business, and not necessarily concern myself with anybody else's problems in relation to that. Like, that's not my issue at all. I don't have energy to a lot to like worrying about what other people are doing, but that's just me. I focus on myself. Not that I mind my own business, but I just focus on myself and what I'm in control of and what I can do. And I'm not going to expel precious energy into worrying about what other people are thinking and feeling. It's not worth it.
Is there ever a chance of maybe seeing you, because I seen something in your bio that caught my eye, and it was called The Good Witch. Is there any, character coming out from that at any point in time in your future? Because I think that would be a good thing for you.
Well, that's what's really interesting is when you first start wrestling, like you're not necessarily afforded a ton of opportunity to explore your character and see what's going on. Predominantly because of 2 things. Number 1, you're a grunt, no one gives a shit. Number 2, you're still also very focused on what moves you're going to do and how you're going to wrestle your matches. So as I've gotten more experience in wrestling, I've started to like dip my toes into how I can translate my character in the ring. One of those things I do is when I'm having a tough spot in my match, when someone's really up on me and they're beating me down and like talking shit and like pie facing me and just being a jerk, like you will see me take a moment where I just kind of gracefully fall into child's pose and I call upon the goddesses and I ask them for strength to rally and pull a victory out. And I'll use that energy to like create this big explosive comeback moment. So that's something that I'll do. As far as like literally being a witch, one of the things I've gotten the opportunity to do at WWR Plus is incorporate some of my little witchy tricks into my pre-match rituals. I had a match with little mean Kathleen there, and she had so much energy. She was running all around the ring. I could not stop her, contain her, and she pulled off a victory. So when I had the rematch, I took a very special jar of salt from my witchy cabinet in my house, and I poured a salt ring around the ring before the match, because maybe me as one person did not have the ability to contain her energy, but creating this salt circle would keep it all within a certain space and allow it from becoming too much for me to overpower. So that was really cool because it showed a lot of character growth for me, and it kind of hopefully created more investment in what I'm trying to do as a character. because as cool as wrestling physically is, like as cool as all the acrobatics and the power moves and like the good knockout punch are, I feel like there's a lot to be said for telling a good story when you wrestle. And I really want people to follow my story and become invested in me as a good witch, as the conduit of karma, and see where my character goes and what I do from here. Because I love that. I feel like that's something that makes wrestling special, is when you can tell stories that connect with the audience.
Well, that's why I picked up on the good witch thing and the other statement that you had made too, like karma, the conduit of karma. I thought, you know what, that would be such a great character, you know, and that's why I had asked about that.
Well, yeah, that is the overarching goal, is that is the character. It's not just like, oh, I'm cute and I come wrestle and do things. It's that I can call upon these higher powers to enhance my wrestling ability, or I can use like my witchy tools. Yeah, maybe one day, maybe if we ever get like real life like CGI in person, like that would be cool to really explore. But until that day happens, you know, that's honestly something that I thought was really cool about the pandemic era and doing studio tapings. Like there's a lot that stinks about not having fans there, but I really enjoyed when I would wrestle for Camp Leapfrog and I could do a spot where I had literal magic come out of my hands and inflict damage on the opponent, because we have post-production and that's really fun. And like I said, it sucks when the fans aren't there. And like, obviously if I'm wrestling in front of fans, I can't throw my hands up and like have Sith lightning come out of them in an arena, or expect people to suspend their disbelief to that extent. But when you do have the opportunity to do things like that in cinematic environments or taping environments, I think it's fun that you utilize that. I love how WWE did it with The Fiend and Alexa Bliss. I thought that was really fun, that they would have this supernatural element and that they could really lean into it heavily, because there weren't a bunch of fans there to be like, well, that's bullshit. You know, I love that they, well, you know, I love that they really leaned into the ability that they could utilize post-production to strengthen their story, whether it be, you know, Rollins getting drugged under the ring, right? Like he's getting dragged to hell, or, or Alexa Bliss like making Nia Jax smack people, like or Zelina Vega step down off the ladder. Like I just think that that's so clever, and it just adds to the story. And but now like that's the thing, right? Is like finding ways for me to like continue to do that in a way where there's fans, you know, and there's not post-production anymore. So that's just a new little challenge I'm gonna have to tuck and roll with. It's all good.
Okay, speaking of the pandemic and post-pandemic, I guess, how hard was it for you to adjust from like basically just studio taping into going into live crowds with, or the other end of that question would be, how hard was it you to go from fans to no fans and stuff like that? How hard was that on you as a character?
I can tell you as a wrestler, it's very, very tough when you don't have a crowd, or the crowd is.
Oh no.
Bunch of other wrestlers. You can't really get an accurate read for what you're doing, and you're new. Are they going to do anything for you? They don't care about you. You're new. And if there's nobody there, then there's just no response in general. So for me, I actually have found that as I've gotten to perform in front of fans, like obviously we all appreciate that, but I really appreciate it because it's really helped me lean into my character more and figure out my character more and how I present myself, and just even having a certain degree of confidence in yourself, like, oh, people cheered and they liked that, you know, and that's such a good feeling, because like when the audience is other wrestlers, like, and nobody's cheering for you and you're doing stuff and you're just like, is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. Help me. But like when fans react, like, you know, their reaction is genuine, and it does help enhance you as a performer and help you pull through it. There's no feeling in the world like just laying in the wrestling ring, like, and you're all blown up and you're like trying to dig in and get through shit, and then you hear somebody chanting for you or cheering you, and it's like, all right, I can do this, I can get up, you know. And it's such a wonderful feeling. Like you feel it from like your head to your toes, like just rippling through your body. It's great.
Oh, that rocks, man.
Fans are the best.
There you go.
They are. I mean, they really are. If nobody learned anything from the pandemic, I would hope that everybody in wrestling learned that. Like, fans are the best.
I think it lends itself to the character as far as storytelling goes, because I mean, every wrestler I grew up watching or something was basically telling a story, and you know, if the fans weren't there to see the story, it's rather difficult.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately now we have social media, so that does help you like get your character over, and like you can put videos up or pictures or like little clips, vignettes that support what you're doing in the ring, but like that wasn't always an option. So I think we're very lucky, as much as we all like to hate social media because it's very easy to dislike Twitter. It's such a useful tool to have as a performer, to be able to, like, if you use it wisely, to be able to connect and talk with your fans through Twitter and help them become
I'm just happy that doing. I'm just happy as far as Twitter goes that like, obviously people are going to come and people are going to go, even on Twitter, you know what I mean? But I'm thankful, like, for who follows me on Twitter and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I am too. And really, I just like try not to, like, I don't know, maybe it's just like, I think it's because I'm new. I've not really been around long enough for people to dislike me massively yet, which is a good thing. Like, I'm not complaining about that. But I also, for some reason, I don't seem to attract a lot of negativity, which is pretty nice, because like I really don't want a bunch of negativity surrounding me or my space in general, right? Like, you should always protect your space and protect your energy. And anytime I see anybody being remotely negative, I just block them. I'm like, whatever, I don't care. Like, you cannot let people get to you.
I don't need your BS, honey.
Yeah, one of the things that is always like fascinating to me is like you'll have somebody who is a name wrestler that has many followers and has been around and like maybe has been places and done things, and they're like quote tweeting these people and like, you know, blasting them with like a comeback, and I like will go to the troll's profile and it's like somebody's got like 10 followers. It's like, why are you wasting your time on this? Like, let it go. Let these like asshole people go. You don't need them. You don't need these people. Don't know. So I always try to, like, whenever I see somebody saying something shitty to me, that's the first thing I look is I'm like, okay, how many followers does this person have? Oh, they have like 10. It's whatever.
It doesn't matter.
Just let it go. Don't even pay attention to that. You don't need that in your life. You do not need that in your life. No.
Like, you've got 10, I've got like 4,000. So what's the difference here, you know?
I mean, there was a time when I had 10 followers. I mean, we all start from nothing, but I just think it's a good lesson in like where to put your energy, and that's not a good space to put energy into. Like, put energy into like eating well, put energy into taking care of yourself, keeping your appearance up, like going to the gym, you know, practicing your promos, going and training. Like, there are other like depositories for energy that you can be utilizing.
Shaving your beard.
Yeah. Yeah, no, right? Go for it.
Actually, I do have to, like,
long and strong.
I'm not Dusty Hill.
Not yet.
Although I did have the opportunity to see Dusty Hill in concert almost 20 years ago. So ZZ Top.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I seen Kansas and ZZ Top back to back at a music festival I worked at. I said, I'll work the festival. I want to see these two acts. They said, done. They just happened to play back to back. So
that was perfect timing, then. I'm glad you got to have that experience.
It was great. And what struck me the other day, because, you know, within days of each other, one member of each band had passed away. Within days of each other. You had Mike Steinhardt from Kansas and Dusty Hill from ZZ Top. I seen them both one night. And I was like, it was a hard hit.
Oh, I'm sure.
Can I get from you, which wrestler's passing has hurt you the most?
I mean, there's definitely, I would say, like, when Eddie Guerrero passed when I was a teenager, that was very, very hard for me because I'm a huge Eddie Guerrero fan. I think he's an incredible performer. And it just is so sudden. You know, it's always like, oh, dude, he was just on TV like 2 days ago. What happened? You know?
Yeah.
And especially when you're younger, you don't necessarily like understand the circumstances that are surrounding things, right? So that was really hard for me because Eddie is just a legend in his own right. Like, and as I've gotten older, like, I always thought the fact that like Misawa has passed is like really sad, or like Grand Naniwa, like some of those guys that were just incredible performers from Japan. Like, I don't know. You know, it's different for everyone. But the cool thing is like their legacy can live on. The good thing about the internet, right? Like their legacies live on, and we can enjoy their body of work to this day very easily at our fingertips. And that's something that I think is really cool.
Can I get who is your all-time favorite male and female wrestler of all time?
I would say female wrestler of all time would probably be Chyna. I just think Chyna is so badass, like across the board. Like she was this amazing, like force of a woman who just was powerful and strong and like doing things that, like she was so before her time. Like if Chyna was in today's wrestling environment, like
she would be running roughshod over everybody.
She would be on top of the world. 100%. And I feel very fortunate to have watched her growing up, and I'm very inspired by her and just like how she carries herself. Like when she would walk out to the ring, you're like, she is a superstar. She is like glamorous. She's statuesque. She's beautiful. Like, and she's an ass kicker. And like, to me, that I think is so cool and so special. And the only person nowadays who kind of has like that same, like just larger than life presence as a female, I think Charlotte actually embodies that very well when she walks to the ring. Like, you know, she's the queen, right? She stands up straight. She's tall. She's strong. She's beautiful. It's like she's very glam. It's like there's nothing about her that's like rough on the edges, right? Like she's just this like this larger than life, like almost goddess like presence. And I just think that that's so cool. Like that's something that I am very heavily inspired by in my wrestling. As far as like my favorite male wrestler, like I don't know if I could just nail down like the top one. I would probably say Misawa. I think that he's incredible. I love his story of like rising up against Jumbo Tsuruta and like truly ascending to the top of All Japan during the King's Road period. And I just that he was different, and he was like this junior heavyweight who was like athletic and faster than these bigger guys who had been there as veterans through the 80s, and that he just kind of was a game changer. I think one of the most cool moments in wrestling is when he revealed himself as Tiger Mask, and everybody just was, we're here for it. Misawa. Like that was so cool. I love Misawa. He's definitely like the GOAT in my opinion. We had a Twitter Spaces where we were arguing about who the GOAT was a couple of months ago, and I had a very, very strong argument for Misawa.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, he's definitely
mine would have been either
Antonio
Inoki or the Great Muta. As far as that goes, mine would have been Antonio Inoki or the Great
Muta.
I
love the Great Muta, and I'm really inspired by the Great Muta because he's very like much a character, and he's very otherworldly and like supernatural, and I think that's really cool. He's a legend, right? And he's Noah champion, so good for him. Still kicking ass, right? I love Dean Malenko. I'm a big technical wrestler. Was very inspired by Dean Malenko growing up. I kind of like remember the first day of wrestling school, and they're asking everybody who their favorite wrestler is, and like everybody's like, oh, you know, Edge, and oh, Randy Orton, and oh, Roman Reigns, and like I get it. Like I mean, yeah, there's always one. And I was like, oh, Dean Malenko, and everybody just kind of was like quiet for 5 seconds, like, well, that's a first, and then like moving on. But no, I really like Dean Malenko. I think he's and always had fun matches. I love his 2 out of 3 falls match with Eddie Guerrero from ECW TV in 1995. That's one of my favorite matches of all time. Who else do I really like? I love but growing up I was a big Ring of Honor fan when I was like 14. So I love like Samoa Joe and Nigel McGuinness and Bryan Danielson, right? Yeah. So like those are big influences on my wrestling style as well.
Nigel McGuinness, the best.
He signed a poster for me when I was 17, and it was like definitely one of the best moments of my life.
Yeah, he was the best wrestler never to compete in the WWE.
I know it's so unfortunate because he's just so incredible. Many excellent matches.
Yeah, like I remember when he used to team up with Nick Aldis once in a while, you know, and
yeah. I mean, I like Mark Fuji too. I mean, there's plenty of there's plenty of wrestlers that are male that I like for various reasons, but I definitely think Chyna's the good.
I did have the opportunity. Going back to the female wrestler thing, my memory's a little slow, but I did have the chance to see Chyna live in Triple H's corner up against Stone Cold in the main event here in my hometown.
Oh, well, that's fun.
I also got
really
to see,
cool.
I also got to see Queen Sherry, who to me is probably the greatest female heel of all time.
I got to I mean, like growing up, like I went to a lot of wrestling growing up, but like my family wasn't super well off or anything. So like no matter how successful I get, you will never see pictures of me like as a child at pay-per-views or like at meet and greets, because we just did not have the money for that. We just didn't have the money for it. But we did get to go to house shows on occasion, right?
Yeah.
So, or like small indie shows. So we got to do that, and that was fun. And I remember I went to one when I was 13 where Eddie Guerrero wrestled Ultimo Dragon on a house show. And I just thought that was like the coolest thing to see in person. And I have pictures from the match somewhere.
Man. I would have paid to see that. Definitely.
It was awesome, right? It's like when Ultimo Dragon was doing that small run he did with WWE during the start of the Ruthless Aggression era.
Yes.
And it just, that was awesome. Like, and I didn't have to pay pay-per-view prices to see it. So there you go. And that's why I think it's cool that like house shows are becoming a thing again. Like people are always like, oh, why are they doing house shows? Why are they doing house shows? And like, I don't think they necessarily need to do as many as they did in the past, but like when they go to those smaller markets where there are people who can't like necessarily get their kids to the big city to see wrestlers, like those are some of the best memories for me, is just like going to house shows. Like when I was a kid, I went to a house show and I remember standing like up on the guardrail and like Kane was coming out. I think it was like 7 or 8. I don't know. I called him a giant red bastard and he like looked at me like he was going to kill me. And I took off running to my mom. I was so scared. Like this little redneck child, like, you're a giant red bastard, you are. And I thought he like came up to the guardrail like he was gonna like pick me up and eat me. And I went running to my mom. And I think of like all those little memories that like I have going to like house shows as a kid. So I think it's cool that they're like going back to some smaller markets and giving other kids that opportunity.
From laughter here. I'm sorry. Maddie, do you have any quote unquote last questions for our guest here?
I would like to know, you said that you went to a lot of shows growing up. You're wrestling now, you're a year in. Who would you like to wrestle? Past, present, and future?
From the past, I would love to wrestle Grand Naniwa. I just think that would be so fun, right? Like, I don't know. I love his gimmick. I love his style. Like, please let me take a crab walk, crab drop elbow. Yes, please. That would be awesome. I'm a big Michinoku Pro fan too. So that would be cool. Present, I would love to wrestle Su Yung. I think that would be a really fun match with a lot of meat on the bone. Someone book it, please. I think that would be cool. The Good Witch versus the Undead Bride.
That'd be.
I mean, well, yeah, I'm trying to think here. You guys asked me. I'm trying to think. And maybe for the future, like Miko Satomura would be an incredible match to have a couple of years down the road, right?
I would definitely want to see that because I'm a big fan of hers also, but
yeah, she's awesome.
On Instagram. I'm a bigger fan of you than I am of her because I mean, I follow you on Instagram, right? So I mean,
so that would be a fun match for the future. For sure. I would love to wrestle her. I mean, anybody that I can really riff off of, either in style or people that I could riff off of in character development. Like Alexa Bliss, I think would be a great match to have if she's still doing the creepy fiend thing. Like, because I'm like a sorceress almost, right? So like that would be a fun
witch, bad witch thing. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, right. Like that could be fun.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. I love when people tell me that like the witch thing isn't believable or it's stupid, and then I like point to the WWE and like, what's one of the most over storylines right now? Alexa Bliss like being a supernatural being. Like your argument is invalid.
There you go. This is where you get off your this is where you get back on your green horsey and ride on back up from where you came and don't let the door hit you.
I'm actually super sad to see Bray Wyatt go, because I thought that what he was doing was very like ahead of his time and very innovative and interesting. I also really kind of enjoyed that subtle arc that they had, that when you lose to the Fiend, you become your true self. Like, I don't even know if that was a thing, but it certainly felt like it was when you had like Rollins lose to the Fiend and then go back to like his scumbag ways. And then like Balor lose to the Fiend and then go back to being the Prince. And then like Randy Orton lose to the Fiend and then go back to being like heel Viper Randy Orton, right? And I just think that was like such a cool like like underlying plot that was happening, and there was just so much meat on that bone. But maybe he'll be back one day.
In 90 days, do you see him going on the indies?
I don't know, honestly. Like, I think that he's somebody who's just such an incredible performer and so creative that he'll be successful anywhere he decides to go. Especially like if he was able to create the success he was underneath the confines that WWE puts on people, right? So who knows? We'll all just have to stay tuned.
Well, my thoughts on that is I think WWE, see, they didn't fire The Fiend, right? They fired Bray Wyatt. They fired Bray Wyatt, not The Fiend. They could be playing an angle here.
Maybe they're all working on
playing an angle.
They could be. Who knows? But I always thought
it was that cool out there. Not that I'm knowledgeable about.
I always thought it was cool that he was willing to like go there and do supernatural stuff and like do stuff that was like spooky and weird, and it wasn't just like my gimmick is I'm a great wrestler, damn it. You know, like, he was definitely innovative in that sense. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what he does next. Yeah.
That is more proof that the supernatural and witchcraft type stuff does get over.
If it's done correctly, I feel like you can get people to get into anything if you do it correctly, right? Like you just have to figure out how you're going to go about it and how you're going to create that investment. Like there's not really like anything that like, you never know what people are going to bite on. Like you really don't. A lot of wrestling 9 times out of 10 is us just kind of experimenting with stuff and seeing what people respond to or what sticks or what they want to see more of. So who knows?
Okay. Once again, I'd like to go back to admin mode here for a second before we close off the interview. Is there can we get your final thoughts on anything, like where you think you're going to be in, let's say, 2 years' time? Can I also get your thoughts on the longevity of your career and as far as in-ring competition goes, that part of your career? Where do you see yourself at the end of it?
At the end of wrestling? I don't know. I love wrestling so much that even if I couldn't compete in ring, I would still want to be involved in this business in some capacity, whether it be through starting an all-women's promotion. I am not qualified to train people, so we'll leave that one off for now. No, I'm dead serious. Like, I definitely think there's just like, okay. But yeah, in that capacity, I would love to be like, work on creative or like help other people come up with like cool stories. I would love to do like commentary. I mean, I think that would be really awesome. I would love to. I don't know if I'd be a good ring announcer. I'd probably be a better commentator, to be honest with you guys. I don't really have an announcer voice, but I have a lot of like really obscure like wrestling knowledge that would make me an excellent play-by-play person one day. So like even in that capacity, you know, like that would be really cool to do. There's just so many ways. Like I'm a graphic designer. Like I would love to just do graphic design for wrestling if push came to shove. I like being involved in it in some way, shape, or form, right? Or even like doing ring crew or like being on production staff. Like, okay, I can't wrestle, I can be part of a production crew. Like that's fun too. So I just would hopefully fall into something else that still involves me in wrestling, even if I couldn't perform in the ring.
Cool. Can you let us know before I say my obligatory goodbyes and all that stuff? Could we get some more admin stuff from you? Like once again, you know, where they can find you, where they can get your merch and all that.
Yeah, of course. I have a Twitter and Instagram. The handle is at kaiamck, KAIAMCK. I'm on there all the time. I try to interact with people as long as they're being reasonable. I try to post like all of my dates, all of pictures of my pug, whatever. Like that's where all the content is funneled through these days. I do not have a Facebook. I have a big cartel, kaiamckennapro.bigcartel.com, so you can buy my merch online there. I have 8x10s, I have t-shirts, I have stickers, I have enamel pins, a bunch of fun little goodies. I have new shirts coming in 2 weeks that have this graphic on it. And this is a sticker. Stickers got here before the shirts.
I'm not a rich man, but how much for a sticker?
They're 2 for $5. They're 2 for $5. Ooh. And I usually just mail them to you. No shipping cost if all you're getting is stickers. Because I think it's, why do you need to pay shipping if you're just getting stickers? And I can put them in an envelope. Yeah. But So that's the merch I have going on now. You can also pick up my merch if you see me at shows. As far as upcoming shows, I will be at WWR Plus. Say you'll be there on the 22nd. It's a part of American Rana weekend with Beyond Wrestling. So please come out and see me wrestle there. I do not know my opponent yet, but it will probably be spectacular because every female they book is incredible. I'm trying to think. I don't really have any big plans rolling into September. I will keep you all posted. I think I'm just going to go back out to Iowa for a couple of weeks and do some training. Because, that's a big part of it too, guys. You got to keep getting better. And people that are the best don't stop training just because they're successful.
Speaking of keeping in touch, yes, please do so. I do follow you on Insta, so I'll definitely get the notification.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. I really want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to talk to me. And
of course. Thank you guys for having me.
.com here. It means a lot to me where I already follow you on Twitter. So like, I'm trying not to go geeky fanboy here, right?
Well, like I said, I do Twitter spaces. So it's usually Wednesday night after AEW. Sometimes if my week's been very busy, it will be Friday night after SmackDown. I do Twitter spaces and everybody can just kind of come in and we talk about witchy stuff. We talk about astrology and then we talk about wrestling and then we talk about whatever we want to talk about. I think it's really cool that we have the capability to do like virtual meet and greets with people, right? Like,
nice.
Why not take advantage of that? So I do my spaces. I let people trickle in. If you are a decent, normal human, I will allow you to speak in the space, but haven't had any problems with it so far. But it's been really fun. It's been a good tool. I feel like people use Twitch and stuff, but I've really kind of leaned into the spaces because I don't have to do video and everybody can just dip in and out.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, thank you.
So that's something I've been doing that's fun too, to kind of give back to some of the fans lately, just kind of talk with people. I usually have other wrestlers come through. There'll sometimes be other guests from the indies that'll swing into the space and say hi and take questions or shoot the shit with us. So I never know who it's going to be. You just have to stay tuned because there's always good stories and always good times.
Right on.
It's called the Witching Hour.
That'd be the good name for your company.
Anyway, I mean, that's what I call my Twitter space. This is the Witching Hour.
Yeah. I like it. Once again, I want to thank you a lot because it made my day finding out I already follow you on Twitter. So, and actually,
well, I appreciate it. I'm glad I got to talk to you both today. Thank you for having me on your show.
It means a lot. So this brings us to the end of another great interview here at Wrestlebuddy podcast and all that stuff. Once again, thank you to Kaia McKenna for taking time to talk to us out of her busy day and stuff like that. Matt.
Thank you guys again for joining us on the Wrestlebuddy interview. And Kaia, I would like to extend a hand. As you said, you got a bit of wrestling knowledge. We do host a wrestling game show here. And ooh. I was wondering that sometime after SummerSlam, if you're available, if you would be willing to do an independent wrestling trivia quiz.
Sure. I'll make any promises, but I'll do it. My knowledge is like weird, right? It's like in pockets. It's like in little pockets.
That's where this quiz
but
comes
I'm willing to take a shot at it.
We'll try to keep in contact with you for it. And again, Wrestle Buddies, you guys can follow me at Twitter at Matthew_Laws_. Thank you once again, Kaia, for joining us.
Of course.
And back to Harold.
And hey, it's me. It's TRC. You can find me at WrestleBuddy.com or at the RevCupid61 on Twitter. And yeah, I forgot to mention, I follow you on Twitter too. I did that today. I'll
have to make sure I'm following you because I've been using my phone for this interview, but I will check as soon as I get off. I do try to follow all of you guys back because, I really appreciate what you all do for us.
Like that. You made it such an easy interview. I feel like I could go out, buy you a drink, and sit down and just shoot the shit.
Oh, well, thank you.
And I don't mean that,
nice
hey, don't take that out of context, Maddie. No.
Well, there's nothing worse than you're trying to do an interview with somebody and they're not giving you answers. They're just like, meh. And it's like, okay, come on, you gotta have a little more in you than
giving
that.
us the Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, I mean, I always try to think and have answers for like things I know people are probably going to ask me, so I don't sound like I'm talking out of my ass. But it's that's part of it. I really appreciate what you guys do for us, especially like anybody who does podcasts or interviews, because while social media is important and whatnot, every time you do a podcast, you do an interview, that adds to your Google search and it pushes you further up and it builds equity for you on the internet. And it's super important. And that was super helpful for me when I was getting into wrestling, because I started in March and there was no wrestling in March 2020.
Wow.
But I did a bunch of interviews and it was able to kind of get me some traction, like kind of, So I really appreciate what you guys do for us. I like it. I think it's great. I try to do as many of these within reason that I can.
Thank you.
Sometimes
I'm
busier than others. You guys caught me on a good week.
Obviously, you maybe want to sit down and buy you a drink and just shoot the shit and have a smoke and just, whatever. Just like a TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's what, not to sound perverted, but that's what I get off on, people like that, just where I can just walk in, buy them drinks, sit down, nothing happens, just have a laugh, have a convo. That's all anybody needs.
That's how I like try to treat these like a conversation. I feel like it just adds a better tone,
Yeah.
I also think a lot of people get social anxiety about speaking.
Right.
Like, so that's a factor too. Maybe they're not quiet intentionally. It's just like they're nervous or whatever, but I try not to say stupid shit and think about what I'm going to say before I say it. So that helps. That helps a lot.
That's like me when I host karaoke.
I don't think I have a lot of like really bad takes or anything. So I think I'm pretty good.
Once again, thank you so much for making my day. Of course.
Thank you guys for having me.
Once again, this is TRC 61 coming at you. My buddy Matty Laws and the very, very nice Kaia McKenna. Peace and love. Pass it on. Keep rocking, everybody. And we'll see you on the next interview. Woo!